We're going to be upgrading a standard circuit breaker to an AFCI circuit breaker. Make sure you've de-energized your panel first and make sure you have a volt checker just to make sure that you don't have any power coming in on either of your two phases right here. The thing that's different between these typical circuit breakers and the AFCI ones is if you look on them, they'll have these two slots and on Eaton's there's this one that has a little white dot right here, so that's where your neutral wire, the white wire, is going to go. And then you've got the other place right here where the black or hot wire is going to go. So in our case, because we're going to be changing this 20 amp breaker to a 20 amp AFCI rated breaker, what we first are going to do is disconnect the hot wire, the black one, but you also have to follow this black wire back to the Romex that it originally came from, which in my case is right here, and I'm finding its neutral wire right here, and so I'm following this wire up, and I'm going to grab that neutral wire from that Romex, and I'm going to be plugging that into here. If you have a square drive, make your life a little bit easier. And whoever torqued these torqued them way too hard, so I have to basically cut them and strip them, get some new wire on that. But the way these come off is you just pull outwards from the center. So I might have to do this with two hands, or I can do it with one hand. But that is the old one out, and we'll trace this wire that we're doing right now. So this guy, and again, finding that neutral that it corresponds to. I believe it's that guy right there. So now I'm going to pull this away from the neutral bar. And again, okay, so that was it. So I'm going to pull this one out. Okay, so now we've got the hot and neutral wires for the circuit that we want to protect, and that is just barely enough, so that's good. So I'm going to cut these, strip them, we'll come back to the action, and I put them into their respective locations. The other thing to know about AFCI breakers is that they have this part right here for the neutral, and so that's going to connect onto this metal bar up here, which does connect onto the neutral wires. And then sometimes they'll have pigtails, so if your AFCI breaker doesn't have this, there'll be an additional pigtail that has to go to the neutral bar, but in our case we don't have to make that connection. So now it's just a matter of positioning this, and the way these slot in is you get the back to hook in first, and then you rotate it in towards the center line. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll turn the power back on and make sure everything's working. Okay, that's what it should look like as it's hooked on. You can see how it's contacting the neutral bar, and then you just have to give it a push towards the midline. And now we've got a neutral and a hot wire going to this guy, and then the last thing you want to do is just go into like a flathead, and you want to make sure that these are torqued down, both of them, because you really don't want any wires dangling around in here. And then you just give them a tug, make sure that nothing's going to slip off on its own. And now we can put on our cover plate, and that's all there is to it. So thanks for watching. Hope this helps.